It's impossible for our security team to tell if a gun is an airsoft gun or a real gun when they come out here and start screaming threats and waving a weapon around. Screaming threats and waving a weapon around.
You may have seen over the weekend the situation that unfolded, starting with Andrew Tate tweeting that there is a man with a gun outside my house. When news reporters asked Andrew about the incident, this is what he said.
It's impossible for our security team to tell if a gun is an airsoft gun or a real gun when they come out here and start screaming threats and waving a weapon around. Could have very easily been a real gun. You could have very easily been sitting in the bushes waiting for us to leave our house. This idiot who thought this was a smart thing to do, despite recent events, clearly is not thinking.
Andrew Tate told the news that the man was screaming threats outside his house and waving a weapon in the air. Incredibly serious allegations. Well, I can now confirm that the man at the center of this story reached out to me, wanting to share his side of the story, and it is very, very different to what Andrew told the news. So in this video, I'm going to share his side of the story, which I think is fair considering Andrew told his side to national news in Romania. I do need to give a disclaimer that although there are parts of his story that can be verified, like the fact that the police didn't lay any charges against him, some parts of his testimony I can't possibly verify, like what he says Tate's security said or the police said to him. So I will share his version of events with disclaimers on screen when there are things that I can't verify myself. This all started with a plan to pump a crypto token. The man who runs the Balkan Coin account decided that he would do this by doing a 24-hour stream outside the Tate compound. Now, this plan alone is going to raise some eyebrows and draw some criticism, which I understand and think is warranted. I don't recommend anyone camp outside a famous person's house to livestream or to promote a crypto project. But the first new bit of interesting context that I have to share is that this guy is a long-time paying member of Andrew Tate's Hustlers University, now known as The Real World. Andrew has always taught his fans that you need to find ways to get attention and monetize it, saying that this is a major part of his own success, what he calls the attention economy.
The hard part about making money today is that we live in an attention economy. You have to garner attention from people. You have to be talented enough and skillful enough to garner attention. But if you can garner attention, then you can make money. I think that's the new modern way to view the world. It's an attention economy. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're getting attention, you'll make money from it. Yeah. And I think that's what's happening en masse.
I believe we live in an attention economy now. I believe that the economy we live in is based on attention. If you can find a way for people to pay attention to you, you will be rich.
So, as far as the plan of doing a live stream near Andrew Tate's house to pump a crypto coin goes, this is the guy simply doing what Andrew Tate teaches them to do. As for the weapon that Andrew says he was waving around outside his house screaming threats, we now know that it was a BB gun. We saw Tristan acknowledge this on Twitter, and we saw Andrew remark to the news that on CCTV it is impossible to tell the difference between a real gun and a BB gun.
It's impossible for our security team to tell if a gun is an airsoft gun or a real gun when they come out here and start screaming threats and waving a weapon around.
According to the testimony that this man told me, this BB gun was not part of the plan for this live stream at all. He says it just happens to be in his car, so he shared it with the live stream to explain to them what it was. That he very briefly had it out on live stream before returning it to his car, and that in this brief period where he had it out on live stream, someone took the screenshot of him holding the BB gun that we saw circulate on Twitter. I can't 100% confirm this part of his story for you, the viewer, but as far as the evidence we have to date goes, we have only seen this screenshot of him holding the BB gun in his car. And we are yet to see any evidence of Andrew's version of events that he was waving it outside the front of their house, screaming threats, CCTV footage or otherwise. Getting back to the man's story, He says that around 15 minutes into the live stream, Andrew Tate's neighbour got home and was immediately aggressive, yelling at them to move their car and leave. He says that they told him they were filming on private property without permission. The security guard would later also tell him this. He says that this is simply not true, that he had parked and began streaming in a public parking lot next to the Tate meat factory. The man says he tried to de-escalate the situation, apologizing to the neighbor and offering to move. Regardless, the neighbor, continuing to be irate and aggressive, went over to the Tate compound and rang the doorbell. The man behind Balkan Crypto, who I'll call Balkan throughout the rest of the video, says that initially a young, skinnier man came out to greet them after the neighbor rang the doorbell. There are a number of people I can think of who this could have been. This younger guy went back inside, and shortly after, a Mercedes arrived and sped up to them. Balkan thought that this might be Tate, and this could be his opportunity to meet the top G. But he quickly found that this was not the case. This was the Tate's massive security guard, arriving on the scene, who had obviously been alerted of the situation. It's important to note that according to Balkan, throughout this altercation with the neighbor and this first interaction with the security guard, no one mentioned the BB gun, and there was no indication that anyone was aware that earlier he had it out on stream showing it to his audience. Despite this, according to Balkan, the security guard was immediately aggressive and violent. He was immediately threatening violence without asking any questions. He pushed Balkan and threw a punch at him that landed on his shoulder. I can confirm that I have seen the bruise on his shoulder from this alleged blow. He aggressively approached Balkan's wife, who was filming, grabbed the streaming equipment and smashed it, destroying it, and aggressively pushed this woman into a fence and onto the ground. Now, this is just testimony, and I can't confirm that these acts of violence happened, but we have seen Tate security acting in a bizarrely aggressive and violent manner when journalists Matt Shea and Jamie Tarson arrived outside the Tate compound to interview Andrew and were aggressively confronted.
Nu să mă filmeze pe mine. Dați-vă mai în spate, back, privat.
This road is public.
Nu e public, e privat. Police, privat.
Okay, we just want to ask some questions to Andrew.
No, it's not possible.
So we need to give him the right to respond. Andrew, I know you can hear me, so I'm just going to ask it one more time. We've seen internal chat logs from the Warham's Telegram group that demonstrate that the Warham... What's that?
You have my chocolate?
Sorry?
Do you have my chocolate?
I'm asking you about the internal chat logs from the Telegram group of the Warham that demonstrate that the Warham is actually a society that trains men how to groom women.
E privată toată strada. Păi ia chemă poliția, dă-mă de la 112 ca să vină poliția. Call the police, okay.
So do you maintain that this is all still a matrix attack and that there's no evidence, or what's your position on the indictment? What's that? Talk to us tomorrow?
Hey.
Chocolates? You must realize how silly that question sounds alongside my question, which is about human trafficking.
Pune mâna pe mine. Puneți mâna pe mine.
Aveți dreptul să filmați înăuntru? Aveți dreptul să filmați înăuntru? Nu filmezați pe stradă privată, băi nebunule, dacă tot vrei să mă filmezi. Mă, degeaba dai tu drumul la camera să mă filmezi. Dați-i drumul de aici. Dacă chiar să ne simțiți. Eu vin la tine în casă să te filmezi? Un bulangiu păros.
To be clear, the Tates don't own the street. This is Tate's security aggressively approaching and making physical contact with two journalists because they arrived at the Tate's compound for an interview that had been agreed to by Tate, mind you. This conduct by Tate's security towards these journalists is, in my opinion, a clear example of assault and makes Balkan's testimony not far-fetched. Balkan says at this point the security guard returned inside, and he returns to his car consoling his wife, who was distraught, having been aggressively pushed by a massive security guard. Balkan says then shortly after, the security guard came back out, and this is when the dialogue around the BB gun started. The security guard said that he saw on CCTV footage that he had a gun, and showed him not CCTV footage, but the screenshot we've all seen from the stream. The security guard moved his car to block in Balkan's car so he couldn't leave, and told him that the police were on their way. Balkan says that he remarked that he was lucky he didn't have the BB gun out when the security guard confronted him earlier, and says that the security guard responded by saying that if he did, he would have shot him on the spot. Balkan says that the security guard was standing close to them, telling them not to leave, while the police were on their way. 2 policemen arrived shortly after and gave Balkan a body search and searched the vehicle, finding nothing but the BB gun, which the police ended up confiscating for 30 days. Then a larger group of policemen arrived. Balkan believes that more policemen arrived because they received a follow-up call telling them that he had a gun. The police felt no need to restrain or handcuff Balkan, who was happily cooperating, and Balkan voluntarily followed them to the police station, which, as I showed in my previous video, he live streamed.
Hey guys, so right now we need to follow the police car, make a video. So we need to go to the police station because yeah, they broke our equipment, and apparently they will create some complaints about the pistol that we had, about the gun, the BB gun that we had with us, and we'll see what will happen. But yeah guys, it's been tough. I mean, crazy. The security came up and he broke our equipment straight away with no questions asked. My wife was holding it. Yeah guys, I'm just giving you an update on the situation so you guys know everything was legit straight from the beginning. The gun that we had, they took it, and I guess we were standing on public road, you know, so violence and stuff like that was not really an option. And yeah, they will need to pay us back for the equipment destroyed and everything. Make a video of the police. Yeah man, Tate security is fucking tough. Yeah guys, we just need to follow them and see what happens. It's good that they didn't cuff us, and yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. I think we arrived at the police station.
Balkan arrived at the police station to give them his version of events. He was not under arrest. He says that after telling them what happened from his point of view, they did not press any charges or even give him a fine, but they recommended that he press charges against the security guard for their violent conduct in a public place. You heard that right. The police did not press charges against Balkan, but recommended that he press charges against Tate's security. Another thing that Balkan told me, which I found notable, was that the police seemed very interested and concerned about the prospect of Tate's security carrying firearms, and they weren't sure that he had a license. I'll be very interested to see if anything comes of this. What happened next is amazing. As the police were finished with Balkan and letting him go on his way, one of them warned him that the news were waiting outside to speak with him, and he asked the police why on earth the news were outside the police station wanting to talk to him, because he didn't think that this was overly serious. And the police officer told him it was because Tate called the news and told them that there was a story about a gunman outside his house. We saw the footage of Tate telling the news that Balkan was screaming threats and waving a weapon around outside his house.
It's impossible for our security team to tell if a gun is an airsoft gun or a real gun when they come out here and start screaming threats and waving a weapon around.
It turns out that according to Balkan, Tate called the news himself while he was in the police station and dribbled absolute rubbish to them, being ridiculous and melodramatic. This is a clear indication of how desperate the Tates are for attention. Their popularity and the real-world memberships have dwindled as their legal bills have piled up and become astronomical. And what we see as a result is these two supposed alpha males begging for attention like desperate little children. Lastly, there is something I want to say to Balkan and anyone else who is paying for a membership in the real world to learn how to make money like Andrew Tate. Being an entrepreneur and making money online is fine, as long as you're not harming anyone else along the way. I don't mean this as an accusation against Balkan, because I'm not familiar with how he's making his money, but anyone who's aspiring to make money like Andrew Tate really does ring alarm bells. Andrew Tate has openly made money by exploiting people, ripping people off, scamming people, defrauding people, and having an affiliation with the mafia. If you've learned some skills on making money online in the real world and are able to focus on using what you've learned legitimately and filter out any shady techniques that you could learn from Tate and his people, that's fine. But I would be very careful about trying to emulate how Andrew Tate has made his money too closely. It may still get him in trouble, and I'm not just talking about sex trafficking. I'm talking about crypto and how he has used the real world itself to consistently exploit and scam its members. All of this still could absolutely catch up with him. Thank you for watching this video, as well as subscribing and hitting the notification bell. You can support the production of the content on this channel by joining as a member. As a member, you can get perks like early access to videos and some members-only content coming soon. I'll also leave the link in the description to the crowdfund to support our legal defense against Andrew and Tristan Tate's lawsuit. They are suing me and a number of other individuals on social media because they say our posts on social media cause them severe emotional distress. To read more about the lawsuit or make a donation, you can go to www.truthversustate.com.